Bishakh. We're like on a little kind of tour, I guess, of the Glen Island, and it's really fucking nice to be in Edinburgh. It's always really lovely to arrive here. Normally I try and be kind of witty and dynamic and bouncy and all of these kind of things, but I just had a really long nap this afternoon, and I'm like really dopey, so this might be a little bit of a kind of confused and befuddled bout of emceeing. We have 4 readers for you tonight, which we're going to like move through highly expeditiously and then go down the path. And the first is poet, science fiction writer, and noted puffin enthusiast, Josie Giles. Josie, woo!
Oh, thank you. I thought the witch biography was going to be like a line longer than that. So I was completely unprepared. It's warm up here. Okay, very good. Hi, Poppins. Yes, we are. Let's see.
I might not be able to.
That's okay. That's okay. We are going on a trip to the Isle of May tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Because I like birds just that much, and I spread my enthusiasm to Cat and Bishakh, and insisted that they come at 7 in the morning to go and look at puffins, which there will be.
I'm like so excited about puffins. Are so cool.
And that is by way of a segue to this point, which goes like this. May a transsexual hear a bird? When I, a transsexual, hear a bird, I am a transsexual hearing a bird. When you hear a bird, you are a person hearing a bird. That is, I am specific, you are general. When a bird sounds in a poem, it is a symbol of hearing a bird, a symbol of a person being related to nature. Only a person may hear this. Only a person may hear a bird and write a poem about hearing a bird, and in so doing praise the gentle dissolution of personhood, or elsewise strive towards the clear and questionless presence of an unworded bird being. Were I to attempt such a poem again, I would be a transsexual writing a poem on hearing a bird. I note now that transsexual is the legal adjective for a person with the protected characteristic of gender reassignment in the Equality Act 2010, Section 7, which applies to any person at any stage of changing any aspect of sex. And so to make a claim of employment discrimination, I must have the capital, social and economic to bring such a claim and also be a transsexual, hence incapable of dissolving without addressing my transsexuality to the bird. Even were I to fail to sound out my transsexuality, it would remain in the title, unsilent, a framing device, regardless. And so, once again, you would be hearing a transsexual hearing a bird. But now I am too preoccupied with how to source testosterone, a Class C controlled substance under the Misuse of Drugs Act 1971, carrying for supply a maximum tariff of 14 years imprisonment and or a heavy fine to give to my friend, and how to publish a zine detailing how to negotiate and circumvent the gender identity clinic system, given that waiting times for first appointments now range from 3 to 7 years, without attracting the critical social media attention that would shut down any explicit alternative routes, and whether the fact I have not heard from my trans sister in over a month means she is in a severe mental health crisis or merely working, and whether I have the strength and love to call her to remember to hear a bird. If I cannot remember to hear a bird, I cannot write a poem. How can I lack the strength and love to call? Because I have not heard enough birds, because I am scared of what it will mean if she answers, because I am scared of what it will mean if she doesn't, because I've been working in far too many political meetings scolding parliamentarians to call or hear a bird. I tilt the window on its catch so I, a transsexual, may hear the birds singing. If I may hear the birds singing, the sound may lift me from myself and my working conditions. Then the self, the conditions, and the listening day. It's a short poem, and the title is A Little Line of Shakespeare. The first line is a line in a very well-known poet who shall remain on this occasion nameless because I'm not going to drag her into it. It's a line describing. It's a line it's a line in a poem that gets taught in schools still because they don't know what's going on, and it's a line describing a particular kind of voice. So this is my kind of song. I love to hear her speak. A clinging peach slithering out of its tin, a lip gloss ground into paste by the teeth, a burnt clutch scribbling down from the pass, a cow pats drilled by extravagant heels, a hangnail snatching a lark by the throat, a wire thong under a cage crinoline, a crazed scream slicing a covetous thumb, a quote tweet high on the sodium moon, a plum duff smelting its threepenny bit, a light bulb loose in a bucket of knives, a cheese string stubbornly whole in the pipes, a war pig through the dimensional gate, a salt lick slapping a jellyfish sting, a blessed bass warily bowed at the bridge. I apologize for reading from my phone. I forgot to put the most recent version of this book on that thing that I normally read from. I have a new book coming out next year, a poetry book of poems, a poetry book with poems in it, and no stories because they're hard. And it's called Then with an exclamation mark, like the 1950s creature feature about giant ants. And I'm trying to persuade the publisher to like use like creature feature fonts on the cover, and like all of gear. I don't think they're going to buy it. Maybe they'll buy it. They'll find out soon when I get the note. I don't know. We'll see what they come up with. So anyway, because I am incapable of just letting anything sit, I've been revising and revising and revising, and I forgot to put the latest one on this. And at the last minute, and much to the consternation of my editor, I like completely rewrote the title poem of the book. And she's been like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And I'm like, I think I am. Anyway, so here it is, the revised title poem, which I think is going to be the one that's in it. Let's read it and find out. This is a longer one. This is my last one, and it's a bit longer, and it's called Then with an exclamation mark. Which how do you say that? Like, because I can't just like shout it whenever I say anything.
Shout it.
It's an intimate event. They swallowed a small white pill and settled to write the poem. The sun had risen an hour earlier behind cloud. A sentence is a subject, a verb, and their ornament. They planned for the poem to narrate the emergence in their body of work of poems identifiable as trans poems, that is, poems which narrate the emergence in their body of sex. To narrate sex is to perform disclosure, to open a door. Many things may come through that door. A book which has a sufficient quantity of trans poems is a trans book, a book which gains access to and is excluded from certain forms of literary attention. A book which has content of strong significance to trans communities is eligible for the Trans Literary Prize, while a book which is written by a woman is eligible for the Women's Literary Prize. Both, however, must be written in English. A legible poem is a poem which can be read. To read in literary studies is to apply a given frame of analysis to a text in order to produce new insight. You read the poem. You want to know to which sex the poet belongs. You can find out if you like. The sun rose higher. They reflected on their sex. On one side of their desk was a plastic organizer with 6 compartments containing their daily selection of makeup, while on the other side was an irregular heap of papers containing 7 unanswered letters from their public healthcare provider. Between these, they were writing a poem. The shape of a poem is the shape of a door. A door defines the threshold between one room and another. A metaphor carries one idea into another across the threshold between words. A door can be open or closed. A poem can be open or closed. An open poem is legible, while a closed poem refuses reading. A transition is a movement from one identifiable state to another identifiable state, as from one room to another. But trans names both the state of having completed the movement and the state of being in movement, both the room and its door. A transition makes public the sex that was private. A poem makes public that something is wrong. Between a waiting room and a doctor's office is a door. On one side, in public, each patient avoids the gaze of the other, while on the other, in private, each patient narrates what is wrong, so that the wrong can be identified. A body which meets a sufficient quantity of diagnostic criteria is a trans body, a body which gains access to and is excluded from certain forms of publicly funded healthcare. A woman who possesses the diagnosis of gender incongruence must be approved by a psychiatrist to be eligible for breast augmentation, while a woman who lacks such a diagnosis needs this psychiatric approval. Both, however, must have sufficient funds. A legible sex is a sex which can be read. To read in trans community is to detail the ways in which the subject fails in their performance of sex. You read the sex. You want to know to which sex the poem belongs. You can find out if you like. The sun grew brighter. They waved their breast. On one side of their desk was a wooden bookcase containing 5 shelves of trans poetry books and 1 of tarot, while on the other side was a door. But I didn't know that was a joke, but apparently it lands, now I know. Between these, they were writing a poem. A poem is a collection of illegitimate sentences. Women's poetry is a noun possessed by a noun, and trans poetry is a noun modified by an adjective. A noun is used to identify a class of things, while an adjective is used to describe their qualities. Carrying the idea of a noun into an adjective or an adjective into a noun is a common feature of English. Trans is a political adjective derived from a medical noun. The adjective trans emerged through the interaction of medical case study, literary memoir, and political action, 3 forms of narration. To name trans is to perform disclosure, to open a door. Many things may come through that door. On one side of their body of work were poems in which the poet was present, while on the other side were poems in which the poet refused to appear. They can decide whether you appear in the poem. You can decide whether to read the poem. You cannot refuse to appear. You are a public. A public is a collection of legitimate people. The sun was penetrating the clouds with some force. In front of their desk was a mirror, recently polished. From their position at their desk, the mirror reflected a 1.5-inch wide vertical strip of bright light reflected in turn from the windows across the street. They refused to disclose to you the name of the pill in order to keep the poem closed, in order to refuse to identify their sex, stacked and split like an infinitive. At their last blood test, their testosterone level was identified as 5.1 nanomoles per litre, and their estrogen level was identified as 293 picomoles per litre. In the doctor's office, they were asked whether they wanted to change their a frog in my throat. That's the danger.
Sonnets that say.
There's so much. It's so meditative. They were asked whether they wanted to change their medication. That is, whether they wanted to alter the probabilities of developing certain visually identifiable characteristics and of not developing certain other visually, that is, publicly identifiable characteristics. Except that the research on those probabilities was minimal, and so they could only alter probabilities of probabilities, that is, best guesses, the lines between the medically measurable and the publicly observable stretched thin between data points, like a sentence between commas. They refused to disclose to their doctor details of their self-administered medication in order to offer a legible narrative, in order to gain access to certain forms of publicly funded healthcare. As a result, they could not say what was wrong. As a result, their doctor could not identify what was wrong. They chose to disclose that something is wrong in the poem in order to make you an offering, in order that you might give in return. A sentence opens with a capital letter and closes with a full stop. The sun rose past the window, now giving only a diffuse and now giving only a diffuse and moderate light to the room. Just too low. You wish to know whether or not the breasts are metaphorical. That is, can you look at them? You can find out if you like. The sun's irradiance was identified as 25 microwatts per meter squared, and the cloud cover was identified as 7 octaves. The desk measured 115 by 90 centimeters. Window, breasts, and literature are not metaphors of identity, and sun, pill, and poem are not metaphors of sex. The poem was not completed, but narrated. And that's that.
We're comfortable here.
You're okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Woo! Woo! Okay. Oh my God, you guys, whenever Josie said that that poem was too long, I had to really fight not to say that's what she said. Okay, next up, noted public transport stenographer and novelist, Eli Percy. Woo!
I'm going to read a short story that was published, I think, around about 2020. There was a call out in 2019 from a crime magazine, and there were, I think, pretty much everybody in the panel was queer. I think a few people were trans, so I was right in there. And what they wanted was, the team was pen pal, and they wanted to sort of subvert the sort of crime genre. Like, I hadn't really seen any people in crime, any working class people in crime, and trans people in crime that were dead from 15 seconds. So I was like, okay, I can do all that. So that's what it is. And this story is called A Good Person. I think this is the first time that I've read it live. I did a video, but I don't know if you can see. This is a good person. You meet her at the foot of Hadley's Close. She's leaning against the wall, smoking. She smiles at you and your stomach does that thing, but it makes you feel like you're on a boat. You up to handsome. She's one step above you, blocking your path. Long legs, short skirt. Her tits are nearly at your head height. Get a message for Hadley. She squints. Sorry, I thought you were somebody else. You shrug, try to go past. She stops you. Are you Bobby Tarbuck's? She pauses. You related to Bobby? Aye, I'm Jake. His sibling. You try to make the muscles in your face relax. You're very alike. Aye, I'm the handsome one. She blushes and the conversation gets awkward. You're used to that though. 6 months on tea, cunts can't decide if you're a pretty gay boy or a butch dyke. You apologise for making her uncomfortable. No worries. She smiles again. This time you feel the blood rush up your neck. Bobby's a good guy, she continues. How do you know him? You're wondering suddenly if your weirdo brain has caused you to forget another acquaintance. Clubbing. You know, it's the pride flag tattoo on her forearm said they probably met in polo. Probably she's here to buy E or Coke. She asks if you want to get a drink. I'm waiting on my pal. I don't want to be stood here freezing all night though. She adds, her and Hadley are upstairs shagging. This last part you find hard to believe. You've never known Hadley to be shagging anyone. All he does is sits in front of his Xbox, ordering takeaways and bagging drugs. He looks and smells like a bloated dead whale. Who the fuck would shag that? Mum, she says, pulling your arm. You tell her you're skint, but really you're worried that the bank rolls of cash burning holes in your rucksack. I'll stand you a couple of pints, she says, because I like your face. What do you like about it? It's a cute face. You mean I look like a 12-year-old? Just take the compliment, Jake. You just go across to Normandy. She buys you a beer and herself an iron brew. She tells you her name is Leslie. Leslie the lesbian. Imagine what my high school life was like. For you? Sorta. Half the lasses in our hockey team were bent. I don't understand. Did you or didn't you get called Leslie the lesbian? Right. You don't know what else to say. She asks why you were at Hadley's. You tell her Bobby borrowed money to pay for your mom's funeral, because that's what Bobby told you to say if the police or anybody asked. She goes quiet, squeezes your hands. You feel shite lying to her. You can't tell her the real reason. Anyway, you like her touching you. You don't want her to stop. She says she's sorry for your loss and asks if you want to talk about it. You don't. I mean, but not for the reason she thinks. Because what can you say about a ma that hated you your whole life and thought you were an embarrassment? You wouldn't even have bothered with the funeral if it hadn't been for Bobby. Half a beer later, leave the past. Decide to use the disabled. There's a guy sitting at the bar. He's somebody's dad you went to school with. On the way out to the toilet, he says, "Well done, mate, she's stunning." Aye. So, you're a boy or a lassie. Me and Wally here and try to, points to the barman, and try to work it out. No. You walk away. That's not an answer, he shouts. Won't tell us if you've got a hot dog and a bun. Sorry, says Leslie. Want to go someplace else? Where? This town's a fucking hole. She squeezes your hand again. Tell me about yourself, she says. Where'd you stay? Where'd you work? Edinburgh. Close enough to visit Bobby, but far enough away that he can't bring bullshit to my doorstep. Her eyes go wide. You grin. I love my brother, but he does some crazy shit. I see. And I'm on benefits. Hoping for funding to do a creative writing essay. You write stories? Aye. Tell me more, she says, leaning so far forward you can see right down her top. You clear your throat. It's not that interesting. You glance down again, feel your cheeks burn. I bet your stuff's brilliant. She tilts her head. Do you ever write erotica? Nah. Why not? You stare at her. She's biting her lip. You think she might be flirting. You've always found it hard to decipher these things. Nah, she said she was a lesbian. Lesbian means attracted to women, not non-binary people who were assigned female. You're starting to feel wound up. You're not sure why. Leslie asks if she's seen anyone. You respond by going on a rant about your ex and how she dumped you after you came out as agender. Adrenaline is pumping through you. So now I can only date bisexual lasses. Well, she says, nudging your wrist, Maybe you'll meet someone who's a bit more flexible with a label. Doubt it. You impossible, she laughs. Why? She shakes her head. Neurotypicals are the worst. You tell her, nothing you say ever makes sense. Leslie looks amused. You feel stupid now. She asks if you want another beer. I should go. I still need to deliver this message. You mean the cash you're carting around? Eh? Your zip's half open? She nods towards your rucksack. What should you owe? A lot. Looks like it. She drops her voice. Jake, I know it's none of my business, but you want to watch yourself with Hadley? Is that what you and your pal were doing? I mean, you don't want to end up on his bad side. Thanks, but I can take care of myself. I grew up here, mind. Once I pay back this money, I'm never going near his stinky, smelly coast again. Leslie purses her lips. Behind you, you can see somebody's dad huddled with Wally, the barman. They're looking right at you, sniggering. Probably wondering what's happening. He can't go out after 7 o'clock because he's in a tag. He's practically climbing the walls as it is. Better a curfew in the big house, says Leslie. I heard when the police picked him up, he was carrying 400 diazepam. 437, you think? But you don't correct her. That was for personal use, she said. Aye, but was it really? He got hooked after a mortar pill. He was our main carer, and that was his way of coping. He used the back payment, the carer's allowance, to buy them in bulk. You believe that? Why wouldn't I? You don't think it's suspicious at all? I think it was stupid. You're sweating now. Puddles forming under your armpits. You hope Leslie doesn't notice. Someone's dad is talking to another guy now. They're both laughing and pointing. You're finding it hard to concentrate. I'm going over to say something, says Leslie. Don't. Why not? The bigots. Thanks, but I'd rather leave it. Sure. Aye. You deserve better, Jake. Dan, all of this, she says, shaking her head. This town, these people, your daft bloody brother. What do you mean? Nothing, forget it. You sit in silence for several minutes. You wonder what she'd say if she knew about the other 563 blues, the ones Bobby sold before he get caught. I can tell you're a really good person, she says. So's my brother. I know he is. He's got a fucking heart of gold, that boy. But you said yourself, he makes some fucked up choices. You don't disagree. You can't disagree. You're fully fucking raging at Bobby for putting you in this predicament, especially after the last debacle. He promised he'd steer clear of Hadley, out of trouble. Yet here you are again, lying for him, sorting out the mess. You should avoid Hadley's tonight, mumbles Leslie. It's getting late. There's a lot of nutters hang about this close. Aye, like you. I'm serious. She gives you a funny look. You're better waiting till tomorrow. This can't wait. You push your chair back, stand up. Somebody's dad appears behind you. Hey, you one of the trannies, is that it? What was that? He growls, squaring up to you. You heard, says Leslie. Get yourself to fuck. What if I don't? She gets to her feet. I'm only going to tell you once, pal. Are you ashamed, Eleanor? You predict what's going to happen just a beat before it does. Just a fraction of a second before Leslie whips out a police badge and flashes it and says, say ID, you're nicked. Somebody's dad's backing off, groveling apologies. Leslie snorts, her face purple, her eyes blazing. What click you, fucking scum? It's 2019, for Christ's sake. You want to jump on Google, educate yourself, pal. I'm charging you with a transphobic hate crime. Oh, wait a minute. Moan somebody's that. I've nothing against the gays or the trans. Tell that to a judge, she says, and she reads him his rights, calls for backup. You try to sneak past her while she's putting the cuffs on him, but you only get halfway to the door. Stop right where you are, Jake Tarbuck. Her voice is like an ice cube down your back. Am I under arrest? No, but I want to speak to you in private. Do I have a choice? Do you, hell? Outside the bar, Leslie sparks up another fag. She leans against the wall. You knew I was a cop that entire time, didn't you? Not the entire time. She sighs. Smart as well as handsome. So what happens now? Can I give you some advice, Jake? Aye, keep the money. Eh? Don't go to Hadley's, don't go to Bobby's, get the fuck out this dump and don't come back. But she holds a finger to her lips. You get that boat rocking feeling again. Call it a gift, call it just desserts, call it whatever the fuck you like, she says. Just promise me you'll do something positive with the cash. You nod. Now, get out of here, she says. Go write a fucking crime novel or something. After she's gone, you sit in the wall outside the All B&Q, next to the bus stop in Shannon Roads. You don't know whether to stay or go or what you're supposed to do next. You take your mobile out and stare at the screen. You want to phone Bobby and tell him everything, but Leslie warned you not to. You wonder if Leslie is even her real name. Was she attracted to you at all? Was it simply part of a ruse to get you talking to find out if you're involved in Hadley drug ring? You wanted to ask. Her situation had been different. If she hadn't been a police and you hadn't been a sibling of an erstwhile idiot drug dealer, would she have been interested in dating you? But you didn't ask any of that. So now you'll never know. Your phone rings. It's Bobby. The answer is a number 23, comes zooming towards you over the bridge. Is it done? He says. In the distance, you hear police sirens. See a panda car speed into Lagan Terrace and pull up outside Hadley's Close. Your heart beats in your chest as you jump down off the wall and stick your hand out for the bus. Aye, you say, it's done.
Oh my God, you guys, this is a really good show. So excited. That was fucking great. That was so good. I was like on tenterhooks every single word. And it's going to continue being a good show because next we have my dear friend, a goth and an aesthete, Bishakh. So. Let you in. Sorry. There we go. Y'all. Is this, yeah, it's working, right? Okay. Hi. Well, we're back in Edinburgh. No, I really love this city, so thank you for having me. First time back, not as a tourist, but as an artist, I guess. So I'm going to read a really short piece. If this is not in any of my books, but my books are for sale. If you like this, probably you'll like some of the stuff in my other books, which are a graphic short story collection called Apsara Engine and a graphic memoir called Spellbound, both of which are around the corner and available for you. This is a piece I wrote like as we were sort of coming out of the pandemic, if we're out of it, I'm not sure. But it's a piece I wrote for the Boston Review, and on a special themed issue, the theme of which was repair. I did not address it in this theme in a straightforward manner, but you can decide for yourselves how successfully I approached the topic. I always approach and never quite touch. So this is a piece called The Tailor. Yeah, this one. Thank you. The Tailor. The tailor hunkers down in her kiosk between the fruit and veg merchant and the egg vendor. She's shrouded in threadbare cloth, auto draped around her shoulders. Black tresses shot through with silver cascade down to her clavicle. Her nose ring glints and flashes in the afternoon sun. A small crimson crescent moon marks the space between her eyebrows. Her cast iron machine, bulbous as a black eggplant adorned with balance wheel, needles suspended above gold throat plate,
sits at a small sewing table in the corner. The tailor cuts a long swath from a bolt of saffron and honey-colored silk, spits a plume of betel juice out onto the street. She aligns the edge of the strip to the frayed edge of vermilion fabric, pinning it at intervals. She threads a small needle with gold thread. She works her way along the border. When she reaches the other edge of the cloth, she ties the thread in a triple knot, brings the thread to her mouth, and bites. Perched on a long board atop 3 milk tins, a small black iron attached to a cable that climbs straight up into the kiosk ceiling and snakes back into the dark recesses. The tailor lays out the cloth on the board, flattening and smoothing the new seam. She gathers opposite edges of the cloth and brings them together flat and again in the opposite direction, folding it into a self-contained parcel. She stretches out her head out of her stall and calls out to the egg vendor, a small woman with hair shorn close to the scalp. She wears a white sari edged with powder blue. She lifts herself off her haunches with an exhalation and an oath, circles around her rattan basket, piled high with a pyramid of eggs, and shuffles over to the tailor's kiosk. The tailor presents, with both hands outstretched, the newly mended cloth to the egg vendor, who chirps and marvels at the luster of the new saffron border. She holds the tailor's hand and promises her extra sweets next month at her daughter's wedding. She says next time she will commission a wedding sari for herself as she ambles back to her mat for her marriage to death. She chortles. The tailor cocks her head, squints, shields her eyes against the glare. "Oh, worshipper of beauty," she shouts at you. "What are you gawping at? Do you want to kiss these cracked lips?" Thank you.
Oh, there it is. Okay, and finally, it is my pleasure to introduce Muggins here. Hi, everybody. I'm Kat. I already said that. I have this book which is out, which is the pretext for coming here on this tour, and I've been reading the beginning of it every night. And we were just talking about the galley a little bit before, so I'm actually going to not do that. I'm going to read a bit where the galley gets a brief mention. You guys don't know what the galley are, right? Maybe you'll find out. So this book lasts a year. It goes from New Year to New Year. It rhymes. And it kind of follows like 3 couples over the course of this year who like meet at New Year's party and kind of get together at New Year's party or whatever. And then by the end of the year, of course, things have gone horrendously wrong. It has a epigraph from my friend Kate Friggle, which is, "When I see 2 trans girls in a relationship, I want to ask them, which one of you is the alien and which one is the predator?" And so I'm going to read a little bit about like one of these couples, which is Gaia and Keiko. Keiko's like 19. She's an artist. She's kind of just come out and is kind of figuring some shit out. Gaia's like maybe 21, 22. You'll find out some more things about her. She's trouble. I think would be a fair thing to say. They like kissed at New Year, and then they didn't really talk to each other for a bit. And then a couple of months later, Keiko's like got back in touch with Guy and gone like, "Do you want to go out?" And Guy's been like, "Yeah, sure, let's go out." And so I will dive right in. They go back and forth in clumsy vacillation until finally Gaia suggests a place. Oh, and also, this is all in New York, but the narrator is not American, and I'm not American also, and I'm not going to try and do the American accents of the characters. That way, mad. A peculiar hipster amalgamation of bar, taxidermist, and performance space, specializing in frozen alcoholic potation. It's down on Atlantic in the charming location of a rezoned oil and tire shop. They've kept the old sign. It's called Quick Stop. This is a real etymology nerd joke for those of you following along at home. Keiko's on time, right to the minute. She orders a slushie and gives them a look at her sister's ID, which she secretly took. Her drink has a plastic elephant in it. Gaia's late. Her apologies are profuse. Her froyo is garnished with a plastic mousse. Now it's necessary to make conversation. I'm really sorry I was late, Gaia repeats. Then an inspiration. Discuss the bar. So isn't this great? There's lots of animals? Keiko queries. So many. And they have this performance series. Tonight's Bloody Mary. They're this MB queen who's like the greatest thing on the scene. Oh, I've never seen a drag queen performing. They're one of our closest analogies to the classical Sabellian mysteries. This ritualized gender non-conforming, a licensed transgression, a traditional threat. How haven't you been to a drag show yet? So they sit drinking slushies until 10 at night when Mary starts singing, not lip syncing. They start as a rich white lady who's been drinking and is trying to lure her gardener to bed with a version of Can't Get You Out of My Head. They do Dancing with Myself by Billy Idol as an incel in a trench coat driving a van into a crowd. They do Rocket Man as Kim Jong-un, getting more homicidal until they reveal they were Trump all along and destroy the world at the end of the song. That last one I actually did see a drag queen do. It was really impressive. I'm there too, at a different table, away in the back. I don't love the place, but Mary's worth seeing. And so I'm able to see the expression on Keiko's face. She's in raptures, no exaggeration. She tries to start a standing ovation. She stamps, she cheers. When the show is done, she turns to Gaia. Oh my God, that was fun. I'd heard that drag was misogynistic, but that was art. Sorry. Hey, you want to make out? Gaia makes a face like she's struggling with doubt. I usually try not to be moralistic, but you're drunk. And after that thing at New Year, I think it's not a great idea. And that is that. The moment is shattered. Gaia broke it. Keiko looks crushed and Gaia gabbles as if words mattered in matters of the body. Their goodbyes are rushed. They return alone to their residences. No need to linger on the consequences. Too painful. Let's skip a month or so. Gaia's off work. She decides to go up and out to the roof of her building to leaf through Lucian's True History and listen to Vaporwave on MP3 and let the rays get started on gilding. Even though it's only May, her limbs for their imminent summer display. I just got sunburned in May in Edinburgh. What the fuck, you guys? That's an aside. But really, it's about the representation of herself to herself. Of course, I don't know. But I guess that in her imagination, she's playing at being like Marilyn Monroe. She has eyeliner on. Her hair is done nicely, and her nails and bikini match precisely. The narrator is a real bitch in this book, by the way. Her nails and bikini match precisely, though she must be expecting solitude. Since when she realizes there's a dude standing on the roof of the building adjacent, lifting barbells of impressive size, given his height. She gasps with surprise. He hears her and turns, looking complacent. Below his pectorals, matching scars announce this Adonis, one of ours. He smiles at Gaia, all sweaty and brawny. So, do you come up here a lot? As openings go, it's kind of corny, but who cares about that when this guy's so hot? Sometimes, if I'm feeling reclusive. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. Am I being intrusive? Not a bit. Don't worry. It's not a reproof. You're fine. I mean, you're on your own route. She laughs, betraying her agitation, but the guy seems willing to persevere. He tries again. It's nice up here. It is. I like the crenellation. The what? The castle bit. Yeah, see it. Yeah, legit. Gaia looks at her hand like she's going to bite it. Sorry, ignore me. I'm being a freak. Oh, you be you. You don't have to fight it. Your perspective is just unique. Individuality is something you have to treasure. I'm Baker, by the way. It's a pleasure. He smiles again, friendly and bright, showing his teeth, so neat and white. I'm Gaia. Awesome. And you're my neighbor? Rad. You're like the trans femme next door. So what do? Tell me more. A sex toy store alienates my labor. It's union though, so at least I'm insured. And you? I work at Callan Lord. That's a joke in New York, but yeah, exactly, got it. But also, he continues, I sometimes appear in porn, but if it's feminist and queer. Gaia gapes. I think I've seen you doing cowboy bondage in a Stetson hat and chaps and spurs. Could that have been you? Dude, yeah. My specialty is things like that. What was it called? Maybe Hog Tie Hoedown? Oh, close. Yeah, almost. Guy Poon Showdown. Oh, yeah, that's it. And so they converse out their interest in matters perverse for 20 minutes until Baker announces, I have a date. I got a scram. But you should follow me on Instagram. I'm Urban Cowboy. Obviously BOI. And off he bounces, leaving Gaia unable to focus on her book. If you ask me, she seems, as the kids say, shook. Thank you very much. And that is our show. I think everyone's books are for sale, or almost everyone's books are for sale at this lovely bookstore, which you should support, and also us are buying our books. Thank you all for coming. It is lovely you were here. Thank you to Josie and Nat for helping me organize this. Thank you to Lighthouse Books for having us and being absolute superstars. Thank you to Bishakh for allowing me to drag her on this intense adventure and make her take a sleeper train to Edinburgh. Who else do I need to thank? Anybody else? Oh, thank you to Me Like a Reading as well. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Hang out, come say hi afterwards. We might go to the pub, although I guess probably there's football on, so maybe we need to go to somewhere without a television screen. Cool, thank you very much. Bye.